Have you ever noticed how every success story on social media seems to follow the same pattern? I quit my job, started a business, and now I'm a millionaire. Well, today, I'm going to tell you the real story behind success, the part nobody shares on Instagram. 3 years ago, I built a seven-figure business, but what people don't see is the invisible advantage that made it possible. Let me take you behind the curtain. When I started my business, I had three things most people don't. $200,000 in savings from my previous tech job, a spouse who covered our living expenses, and a network of high-level executives from my corporate career. That's the part you never see in viral success stories. My journey started way before my first business. Thanks to my parents' ability to afford prep schools and tutors, I got into Harvard at 22. That degree opened doors I didn't even know existed. By 26, I landed a high-paying tech job through my college alumni network. While my peers were struggling with rent, I moved back home at 28, saving almost every penny of my salary. At 30, I launched my first business, which failed spectacularly. But unlike others, I had savings to fall back on. My second attempt at 31 also crashed, but again, my support system kept me afloat. Finally, at 32, my current business succeeded, but it was built on the foundation of years of invisible advantages. The truth runs deeper than just financial support. Success is a complex web of advantages that most people never talk about. It's about having access to quality education from an early age, growing up with financial safety nets that allow risk-taking, building professional networks through privileged connections, having unwavering family support, access to mental health resources when things get tough, and even cultural advantages that make certain paths easier. These aren't just helpful extras, they're often the invisible infrastructure that makes success possible. My first startup was a perfect example of how these advantages work. When it failed, burning through $80,000 in 6 months, most people would have been devastated, in debt, maybe even bankrupt. But I had savings to cushion the fall. When my second venture crashed 8 months later, I still had my network to lean on, my parents' house to live in, and my spouse's income to cover our basics. The reality is, every failure taught me invaluable lessons, but I could only learn those lessons because I could afford to fail. Each setback became a setup for my next attempt, but only because I had the luxury of trying again. That's the privilege nobody talks about in success stories, the ability to fail safely. You know what's interesting? Even with all these advantages, success wasn't guaranteed. Each failure hurt. Each setback tested my resolve. But I had something most don't: the security to take risks. When my current business started showing promise, I could focus entirely on growth because I wasn't worried about putting food on the table or keeping the lights on. Today, my company generates $500,000 monthly in revenue. We have 45 employees, offices in 3 cities, and clients worldwide. But here's what keeps me grounded. I know talented people who could run circles around me in business, but they can't take the risk because they're one paycheck away from disaster. That's why I'm sharing this story. Not to diminish my hard work or success, but to acknowledge the foundation it was built on. When I see gurus selling courses about replicating success without acknowledging these invisible advantages, it makes me angry. They're selling a fantasy that ignores reality. But here's what I want you to take away from this. Understanding your starting point is crucial. If you don't have the advantages I had, your path will look different, and that's okay. Maybe you build your business slower while keeping your day job. Maybe you find creative ways to minimize risk. Maybe you partner with others who have the advantages you lack. I've seen people succeed with far fewer advantages than I had. Their stories are actually more impressive than mine. They built their success one careful step at a time, without safety nets, without prestigious degrees, without family wealth. It took them longer, required more creativity, demanded more resilience, but they made it. That's why I now spend time mentoring entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds, because success shouldn't be limited to those born into privilege. Sometimes, just having one person believe in you, one door opened, one opportunity granted, can change everything. If you're building something without the advantages others have, remember this. Your path might be longer, harder, and less glamorous than the success stories you see online. But that doesn't make it impossible. It just makes it more impressive when you succeed. This channel, Beyond Stories, is about telling the whole truth about success. If you want to hear more real, unfiltered stories like this, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment about your journey. What advantages or disadvantages are shaping your path? Let's start being honest about what it really takes to succeed. See you in the next video.